Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the JMOR Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hey guys, and welcome to the JMOR Tech Talk Show. If I haven't said Happy New Year to you already, if you haven't been with us this year, Happy New Year. Of course, a very happy, healthy, and a prosperous one from my team to yours. It's great to be with you again. This is January 16th, 2026. Of course, it's a Friday. That's when the JMOR Tech Talk Show launches. If you have never been here before, well, a big, warm, red carpet welcome to you today. If you're coming back, of course, a big, warm welcome back to you as well. If you have not been here before, or if you have, and you haven't checked out BelieveMeAchieve.com, why not do that right after the show? You can get my long-form content, my short-form content, you can get articles, reels, and so much more. So definitely check that out. You can visit BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. If you're thirsty, feel free to go grab yourself something, whether it's RO water, whether it's regular water, whether it's soda, whether it's juice, whether it's a snack, a fruit. That's up to you, healthy or not. So go ahead and do that, and let's kick this show off, all right, guys? So you are tuned into the JMOR Tech Talk Show, the quiet tech shifts that will change everything. We're on season 5. I'm so happy to be celebrating being on the air over 4 years. This is our 16th day in the 5th year. This is episode number 3. And it is so great to be with everybody here. Really, really great. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the JMOR Tech Talk Show. That's right, guys. If you just found us, you're at the right place, where I break down the technology stories shaping our lives, often before we realize they're shaping us at all. So if you didn't know, every single day, starting basically we create them on the weekend, and then on Monday we schedule the first one. Every day we schedule 2 reels, a morning one and an afternoon reel, and they're very short. They're under 30 seconds or so. And what we do in the show is we blow them up. We elaborate on them in more detail. All right. So I am your host, guys. I'm John C. Morley. If you didn't know, I am a serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, graduate student, and yes, guys, passionate lifelong learner. This show, guys, isn't about hype. It's about understanding what's really happening beneath the headlines. Being in media for a long time, a lot of media, and I always pride myself of sharing technology and news that's actually true and factual. The most powerful technology shifts don't arrive, guys, with alarms or panics. They arrive subtly, quietly, and they sort of embed themselves into our everyday life and change the rules before anyone votes on them, and we even know they're there. Take, for example, the iPhone, right? Or even Bluetooth, right? It just became a part of our lives because of hands-free driving, right? So those are just a couple things. So today's episode is called, as I said, the quiet tech shifts that will change everything. So number 1, guys, space is booming. Yes, the infrastructure that is. Space is no longer an empty frontier. It's becoming an infrastructure in itself. Satellites are now delivering internet, data, and communication across the entire globe. Whoever controls the orbit, guys, increasingly controls global connectivity. I'm not sure if you know that. So this isn't science fiction. It's the foundation of modern communication. And I think that's something that people get confused about. What is real and what is, fiction and what's nonfiction. So the U.S. government basically gave SpaceX the green light to launch 7,500 more Starlink satellites, pushing its network now up to a total of 15,000 in orbit. That's internet from space at up to 1 gigabit speeds. Direct-to-cell coverage and global reach approved by the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, despite concerns about congestion and competition. This isn't just faster Wi-Fi, it's a reshaping of who controls global connectivity from cities to the most remote centers of the earth. Now, here's something that I think is an interesting quinky-dink. We all know that Verizon went down. And if any of you guys were following it, did you guys know that Verizon was down? If you didn't have Verizon, maybe it didn't impact you. I don't know. But Verizon was down. It was this past Wednesday for quite a while. People could not believe how long, 10 hours actually, Wednesday, January 14th. The outage began roughly around noon Eastern time on that Wednesday and was resolved approximately by 10:20 p.m. Eastern time that evening. Disruption affected voice and data services, leaving 170,000 customers or more unable to make calls or texts, with many phones just displaying SOS. So a Verizon spokesperson confirmed the issue stemmed from a software issue and was not the result of a cyber attack. You know, guys, I knew this right away. Being in the industry for a while, being an engineer, going back to school for my master's in AI and PhD, I knew this was an update issue. And before they even said anything, right around probably 11:30 or 11:45, the ingeniuses that they hired, and this is the other problem I have. I don't think Verizon hires a lot of U.S. people. Some, but they really try to save their bucks. I remember the days when they actually answered the telephone like live. Now they have all this nonsense and routing you and people working from home, and it's just really terrible. So Verizon has vowed to offer a $20 account credit to affected customers. Most affected customers will receive a text message notification and can redeem the credit through the My Verizon app. Business customers will be contacted separately about this. But, you know, guys, this is really crazy. What this tells me is that we all rely on Verizon or other carriers, right? So people that had Verizon, for example, or didn't have it, they still use part of the Verizon network because of the, let's say, the agreements they have, like when you travel or different towers, right? Because nobody could be everywhere. So I think that was an interesting thing. And so, you know, what was happening, I noticed, was right around, I'm going to say around maybe 8:30, 8:45. I noticed that I could have data because the SOS was going off, but I couldn't make calls, even though the phone could actually get me internet. And it was funny because I was going to a location on Wednesday night, and I knew the business name, but I wasn't exactly sure the address, and I wanted to confirm the street. So I was like, praying that internet would just return for like 20 seconds so I could just do a quick lookup. And I was able to get it. And then, of course, it went down again. Then it went back up. We didn't get service restored till about on our 9:45, 10 o'clock. Verizon claimed everything was back by 10:20. But what does this mean? This means that we can't put all our eggs in one basket like Verizon, like T-Mobile. So how much is SAT service instead of cellular? Well, this is the thing, guys. Satellite service costs vary from free emergency features on some phones like Apple's SOS to $10 to $20 a month for basic texting via some other carriers like T-Mobile. And for carriers' phones, up to $50 or $100 per month for dedicated satellite phones like Globalstar or Iridium. So, data costs are obviously going to be higher. But what do you do? I mean, when you're totally out, but here's the thing, even if you're out, right, and other people are out, so just because you fix your problem doesn't mean that, other people's problems are not going to be fixed, all right? I think that's an important thing for us to realize. And like, for example, when I connected my phone to Wi-Fi, right, I still couldn't make calls because the whole Verizon network was down. Now, if I had Iridium or one of these cell phone services or radio services, I would be able to make calls back to the main, the PBX, the main private branch exchange, and make international calls, etc., because it would be going through a different provider. And then when it tried to route out to Verizon or the carrier that was having the problem, well, it would just tell me, that the phone is not in service, or just ring, or a multitude of different errors. So the question I have for everyone is, do you think Verizon handled the outage professionally? That's my question. So a lot of people are divided. I mean, to take the service down for that long, a Verizon spokesperson publicly acknowledged, like I said, just what I had said, is that it was a software update. But don't roll out a darn update, guys, if you don't test it. I've been in production for a long time, and also non-production environments. And before you roll something to production, we've learned this with Wall Street and many other places, don't roll the darn thing out to, production. You can't do that. So again, we know it's not a cyber attack, but that just makes me say shame on them even more, because the fact that you allowed somebody, a contractor, somebody, I don't know. And the guy they showed in the picture that was trying to help, he didn't look too convincing to me. Some users on social media platforms like Reddit felt it took too long for Verizon to officially acknowledge the nationwide scope. I mean, come on, guys. Lack of detailed, timely updates. A lot of people argued that unlike other major tech companies during an outage, Verizon did not provide frequent hourly updates with technical details on the progress of the fix or an estimated time for resolution. The outage prevented customers from making calls, sending texts, or accessing even any kind of data like the internet, leading some major cities to advise residents to use other carriers for emergency services like 911. This highlights critical reliance on network reliability. Reputation damage for some customers, particularly those who recently switched to Verizon. The outage and a perceived lack of transparency, well, it resulted in a significant loss of brand trust. So does Verizon hire lots of overseas tech engineers? So, they're never going to admit this, right? Of course that. So Verizon hires significant numbers of overseas tech engineers. A practice that includes sponsoring visas for workers in the United States and outsourcing jobs to global locations. So I just have to say, Verizon, you're so cheap, okay? If you would have hired high-quality people, they would know you don't go rolling out a patch in the middle of the day. Now, here's the thing. When you roll out a patch like that and it starts to cause the outage, you need to figure out what you last did, right? You should be able to roll it back, right? Even if, let's say, they did have this problem, they should have been able to roll it back. But I just say shame on you. This should have never, ever happened. Never happened. Number two, guys, responsibility does not stop at the borders. When technology crosses borders, responsibility doesn't disappear. Courts are now questioning whether companies can escape accountability simply because harm occurs overseas. This decision could reshape global tech ethics. And I know a lot of you out there saying, oh, John, this is kind of crazy. This is kind of nuts. And you're not wrong, but this is kind of where things are going. So, these are big problems, like the things happening with Indonesia and becoming the first country to block Grok after concerns over adult AI generate images of people, let's say, without having garments on or anything like that. The warning shot is loud. If AI can't control itself, governments will. This isn't just about one chatbot, guys. It's about who sets the rules for AI next. And, there is no standard like, the OSI. Does anybody know what the OSI model is? Anybody out there? If I had to ask you, what does, OSI stand for in the OSI models? Anybody know? So OSI has been around for a while. It stands for the Open Systems Interconnection, conceptual framework by the ISO standards of how different computer systems communicate by breaking down network function into 7 distinct layers: physical, data link, network, transport, session, presentation, and application for interoperability. Maybe we need something called the Open AI, the Open AI, the Open artificial intelligence interconnection, or maybe the OSAI, the Open Systems Artificial Intelligence Interconnection. Something's got to be done, guys. This just can't keep going and going and going like this. As much as, people are doing this. I was talking to somebody today, a colleague in my class who actually moved to a different location. He said that he wants to start an AI company. Now, I've had a tech company, as you know, for many, many, many years, over 33 years, actually. And I will tell you that you can't just go opening an AI company without understanding the human element. So many people online say, oh, yeah, we can do this, we can do that, but they have no darn clue on what they're doing. And I think that's a huge thing. That's a huge problem that is important for everyone. We have to think about it, right? I don't know, guys. I just think that a standard needs to develop sooner than later, because people are starting to grapple at, what do we do? There is no standard, right? We've had issues with other kinds of things like, and these are all problems for a lot of people. But until it causes people to lose money, it's not nice to say, or until it causes a real problem, that's when people are going to be like, you know what? We probably should have a standard. You know what? It's going to be a little too late, guys. A little too late. All right. We need to do it before damage is done, before resources are destroyed and costs are incurred. Number 3, guys, regulation can be immediate. Some governments are no longer issuing warnings. They're shutting systems down when trust in AI erodes. And regulation does not arrive slowly. It arrives decisively. When I think about that whole comment, it makes me brainstorm a little bit, okay? That, maybe we're not ready for things exactly as we expect them to be, right? Maybe not. And, with a country just shutting down AI completely at the flip of a light switch, this is what regulation looks like when the patience runs out. Because what are people actually going to do? I don't know, guys, but this is a serious problem. This is not a problem that's going to go away in 24 hours. I just want to be truthful with you guys. Not because of they can't. It's because they haven't really thought of it. That's crazy. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? Right? I don't know, guys. I think something has to happen. I don't know what could happen, but I know it could be a problem. I know, ladies and gentlemen, that the world is kind of in this enigma of like, what the heck do we do? But we've got to do something. I'm not saying we have to jump overnight, but we've at least got to start the planning engine, right? We've got to figure out what it's going to look like, right? Does that make some sense? I hope it does. Number 4, guys, intelligence is advancing faster than bodies' AI systems are advancing rapidly. But physical robots lag behind. The future isn't late, it's uneven. That gap, guys, explains why robots, not just at the CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, but elsewhere, still aren't part of everyday life. And so let's try to dive into that a little deeper, all right? I think the biggest way to understand this is, at the CES, physical AI took over. Robots, humanoids, self-driving tech everywhere. But there's a twist. They're slow, they're expensive, and they're not ready for real life. AI brains are moving fast, robot bodies, that is. They're still catching up. The humanoid future is coming, just not soon. And the thing is, just studying robotics and advanced robotics, I can tell you that every time there's a movement on a robot, we call that a degree of freedom. So for every degree of freedom, we need one actuator. In order to have robotics, or to be let's say a viable robotics builder engineer, you have to have 3 skills. Computer science to be able to program them. You need to have electrical engineering so that you can wire them and connect all the actuators, which are the motors, the DC the motors. And you also have to have knowledge about gears and mechanics. So you got to be a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, and yes, a computer science person. And that's what's needed to build a robot. Building gears is not simple. I know. I had to build one for a final project. And when I figured out that was one of my weaknesses, I had to figure, okay, John, how do I build the gear, right? And it wasn't hard once I understood. But if you've never done it before, well, guys, it's a little bit, how can I say, uncomfortable. And I said before, guys, when we're in the uncomfort zone, that's where things thrive. Yeah, that's where things thrive. And, you know, like I said, AI brains are racing. Robot bodies are lagging. You probably saw in my video reel where I tried to pour water and I was, well, awkwardly spilling it. That gap is why robots still don't belong in everyday life. They had a robot at CES that was folding clothes, okay? I was getting tired watching the robot folding clothes. I mean, it was so laborious, so slow. And I don't even know if it was doing 100% right. I mean, I saw it was like, it just had no full perception. Number 5, guys, 1 pixel can change everything. AI doesn't always see what humans see. In one case, a single pixel solved what weeks of searching could not. Machine perception operates in an entirely different realm, a different level. But let's dive into that, well, guys, just a little bit deeper, shall we? Sure. So if we dive into that just a little bit deeper, we can figure out what actually happened. And I think when we look at it first, it's like, well, this seems kind of wacky, right? But it's not. So a red pixel in the snow solved a missing person problem case. They searched the mountain for a week. Nothing. Months later, drones flew the cliffs, and then AI scanned 2,600 photos. And in hours, it flagged one thing, a tiny red dot. It was his helmet. And it led rescuers straight to him. AI didn't find a face. It found a pixel. If pixels are that powerful, that's priceless. So AI noticing one minute detail humans missed, and it changed everything. So when we think about technology, technology looks at everything, right? From the top to the bottom. And sometimes we may look at something, for example, let's take a look at maybe airport surveillance security or things like that. Something that we may miss with the naked eye. AI might say, gee, that doesn't look right, or the temperature on that body doesn't seem right. Something that we're not going to pick up, right? Number 6, guys, engagement is not satisfaction dating platforms, as they're optimized for engagement, not fulfillment. Endless swiping benefits platforms more than users. The system isn't broken, guys. It's working as it was designed. So if you're saying it's not working, oh, it's working. It's working. They're getting revenue. They're charging you and other advertisers, but it's not getting you the result. It wasn't designed to get you a date, okay? It was designed to keep the platform up and making money. So the dating apps didn't fail you guys. They were built this way. The story, the question, no app wants you to ask, are you meant to find love? or staying swiping forever. Over half of the users are unhappy. Gen Z has decided we had enough, we're quitting. Algorithms are profiting from loneliness, not connection. Maybe you weren't unlucky. Maybe the game was rigged, right? Think about that for just a moment. And maybe that'll give you an idea. So dating didn't get harder, guys. The system changed. When the game never ends, nobody wins. Do you guys remember the movie War Game? And do you remember Whopper, World Operations? What was it? I'm trying to remember now. Whopper in the movie. I'm trying to remember now. I think it was World. If I remember right, it was World Operations Plan Response. And they played a game of tic-tac-toe. And Joshua was the nickname of the computer in war games. And interestingly, when they played the game tic-tac-toe, and they realized one thing, when Joshua realized that sometimes the best thing to do is to not play at all. So maybe until or if these apps ever get their head in a game, we need to boycott them. I mean, you've all probably used them once or twice, and they get you into this swiping mode, right? Swipe left if you don't like the person, swipe right if you do like the person. And then they give you so many free, and then if you want to see who swiped on you, you got to pay a fee, right? Or they'll give you maybe 7 days free, and then you got to pay this fee every month. But if the app is not designed to help with your personality, why should we even be using it? The developers didn't write the app for you to find love. I am so sorry to tell you that. But many people are finding that out after years of, let's say, frustration. Okay, many people are finding that out. Well, number 7 is becoming automated AI surveillance systems. This can monitor people now without wrongdoing. Suspicion is increasingly assigned by patterns rather than actions, raising serious questions about privacy and fairness. So these are very, very important things. I mean, really important things. Does that make any sense to you guys? Or does it sound like something that is just, does it sound like something that's a little bit crazy? I don't know. It's weird. I know a lot of you out there saying to me, John, I don't quite get this, right? I don't quite get this. And the I don't quite get this is an interesting thing, all right? It's an interesting thing because maybe you're saying to yourself, gee, I don't really know enough. Maybe I'm getting hooked into something that maybe I shouldn't be getting hooked into. Do you know a lot of apps are actually like this? A lot of apps are like this. That's just how they design them. And so when you think about all this and you think about how people get, well, in a sense, roped in, they get kind of conned. Why? The question is, why do people use these dating apps if they don't work? Great question. They use them because one reason. It's the dopamine feel, the positive reinforcement we get from feeling good of swiping right. Look at the positive reinforcement you get from maybe picking up your phone and going to Facebook or other social media. Look at that positive response, right? I mean, that's something that's pretty interesting. I think that's an important question to understand. And hopefully you're going to say to me, John, I don't know what you're doing or why you're doing. But I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you that it's about, our own thoughts, because people are getting roped into things, again, not because they have to, but because of curiosity. We've heard curiosity kills the cat, right? But in our case, curiosity becomes that infamous glue that doesn't let us put down the iPhone, the Android, that doesn't let us go more than 20 minutes without checking. Did somebody like me? Did somebody like? Right? And you're doing the same thing with these dating apps. And they know this. So what do? They capitalize on it every single day. So let's just take a look. So how many, let's just take a look. What is, if we had to just compare it, I mean, this is probably the best way. So what is the difference? And I'm not going to single anyone out like particular. I'm just going to just be very general here because I don't want to single one out. But what is the difference between paid version and free version of dating apps? Swiping left and right. What's the difference? Can anybody tell me what the difference is? Yeah, so there's a little difference. Here's what it is. When you get the free version, okay, which is what most people do, limit swipes per day. It's often capped. You swipe without knowing who already liked you. Your matches feel random and inconsistent. Delayed visibility of your profile, fewer boosts in the algorithm. And here's what's really happening. You're shown fewer high quality or compatible profiles. Your profile may be throttled after a short burst of activity. The app optimizes for time spent swiping, not successful matches. Don't know if you know that. You're encouraged to keep guessing and checking. It's like an infinite waste of time. More swiping, fewer matches. Again, that dopamine loop. Hope, swipe, wait, repeat. Hope, swipe, wait, repeat. Hope, swipe, wait, repeat. Oh, I think I got him. I think I got her. Hope, swipe, wait, repeat. Hope, swipe, wait, repeat. And it just loops and it loops and it loops and it loops. Our brains love to loop. And the dopamine keeps it happening so effortlessly. Increased frustration and self-doubt, but then we keep getting more hope, more swipe, more wait, more repeat, more hope, more swipe, more wait, repeat. And you feel like you're almost there. And then, oh no, I guess I got to do more of this. What you get in the paid version, you see who already liked you. A limited or greatly increased swipes, priority placement in others' feed, boosts, super likes, or visibility perks, advanced filters. So what super likes do is it kind of pushes you ahead of the queue. You can even sometimes message the person so you can talk to them directly before they've actually connected with you. You're removed from the guessing game. You know who likes you. The app reduces friction, so it matches hopefully faster, but not usually. Your profile is shown more often and sooner, and you spend less time swiping and more time matching. The effect is fewer swipes, more matches, less uncertainty, faster feedback, sense of control and momentum. Paid users are optimized for outcomes. So the core difference is optimized for retention in the free version, keeps you searching, rewards patience, not clarity. Paid version optimizes for conversion, reduces friction, and moves you toward decisions. That's why many people say, I suddenly started getting matched once I paid. It's not confidence. It's not attractiveness. It's visibility and priority. Think of it like this. It's advertising. Yeah. You're paying to get your profile out there. And that's why it's happening, guys. Right? That's why it is happening. And I think this causes some challenges for some people. They don't realize, what's going on. Hope, swipe, wait, repeat. Hope, swipe, wait, repeat. More dopamine, right? When swiping left and right feels exhausting, the swipe mechanic creates endless choices. Endless choice reduces satisfaction. The brain makes options for progress. Hope, swipe, wait, repeat. Commitment feels delayed. Dating apps aren't broken. They're two different products. A free game designed to keep you playing, and a paid tool designed to, move you forward faster. My takeaway, use free versions intentionally, not emotionally. Set swipe limits for your self. Focus on profiles, not volume. Decide in advance how long you'll use it. Because the real cost isn't money. It's your time, it's your energy, and of course, it's your hope. Hope, swipe, wait, repeat. There's a lot more things you could be hoping and doing. That's powerful, guys. Human limits still exist. Even the most trained professionals have limits. When NASA ended a mission early, it reminded us that technology extends human capability, but doesn't replace human vulnerability. Guys, that's just kind of incredible if you ask me. So NASA even has limits, right? NASA has limits. One astronaut developed a serious medical condition recently, and NASA was bringing the entire ISS crew home a month early. No emergency, no injury. It's the first early medical return in International Space Station's 25-year history. Space is brutal. Even astronauts aren't immune. So I thought this is a good time to dive into this because obviously, John, that's crazy. So why is space bad for, let's say, humans' health? I mean, that's probably the best thing I can do for you, because if I do that and I explain this to you, then maybe you'll appreciate why you probably don't want to spend $1 million to go to space. So space is harsh on the human body because we've evolved for Earth, gravity, a magnet field, and a protective atmosphere. Remove those and multiple systems start to degrade at once. Here's the science. Microgravity, guys, weakens muscles and bones. Sorry to tell you that. Muscle atrophy, weight-based bearing muscle issues, legs, back, core, they shrink quickly. Bone loss. Astronauts lose 1 to 2% of bone density per month, similar to severe osteoporosis. Risks, higher fractures, risk when returning to Earth. That's not good. Space radiation, guys, damages cells and DNA. Yes, there's radiation. We know radiation causes cancer. Cosmic rays and solar radiation penetrate tissue. It increases risks of cancer, cardiovascular disease, and neurological damage. DNA damage accumulates over time and may not fully repair ever. Fluids shift toward the head. That never can be good. Fluids move into the head and the chest, causes puffy face, nasal congestion, increases pressure behind the eyes. This can lead to vision problems. Spaceflight-associated neuroocular syndrome, SANS they call it. It's actually a condition. The heart and blood vessels decondition. Yeah, heart muscles can shrink. Blood pressure regulates weaknesses. Astronauts often feel faint or dizzy when they return to Earth. The immune system becomes less reliable. Some immune cells become less effective. Latest viruses like herpes virus can reactivate. Wounds may heal more slowly, guys. Yeah. The body becomes less resistant under stress. Sleep and mental health suffer. Oh, forget about it. No natural day or night cycles. 16 sunrises per day. Eesh. Disrupted circadian rhythm, which we've talked about. The confinement isolation issue, if you're a person that doesn't want to be in closed spaces, claustrophobic. Gravity is a biological requirement. Yep. Humans are gravity-dependent organisms. Our bones, muscles, circulation, balance. Space doesn't attack humans. Well, it simply removes everything that quietly keeps us healthy on Earth. So long missions are risky, guys. Mars travel is uncertain. NASA sometimes ends missions early for medical reasons. Artificial gravity and better radiation shielding are major research priorities. This is the first time they did this. I don't know, guys. That $1 million that they're going to probably charge you more. I've really changed my mind about wanting to go to space. So here's another little problem. Your body fluids, right? Using the restroom. So there's no gravity. There's no down. That means it'll float. So the space toilets, they use an airflow suction instead of gravity to pull waste away from the body. They have a funnel system. Astronauts use a small funnel attached to a hose, and the hose is connected to a vacuum fan. When activated, airflow pulls the fluid through the tube into storage. One other thing, I didn't tell you this. You don't sit in space. They have to position precisely. They use mirrors and training rigs to get it right. You miss the funnel, well, you'll have floating debris everywhere. The body fluid is recycled. Water is extracted and purified from it. It's interesting how this happens. And the floating waste is a health hazard, obviously, right? So getting rid of your waste in space, the gravity becomes a serious problem. Big problem. You wouldn't think about it, but it's a problem. And you think about everything we have on Earth as being so easy and simple, but it's a problem. Like I said, nothing falls down. When they have to use, let's say, the bathroom to sit down, they actually strap themselves down with foot restraints. They hover over the toilet, and it's a lot smaller than what's on Earth. The suction system they have replaces gravity, which is a powerful fan that creates a constant suction, and the waste is pulled directly into the system. Airflow prevents anything from floating away, again, which could be a health hazard. So it's the hardest thing for astronauts. Astronauts must align themselves exactly over the opening. As I said, they use mirrors, and it's crazy. Hygiene is mission critical. How long does it take an astronaut to learn this? I think it's going to vary for a lot of people, if I had to say this myself. Short answer, it's a few days. The training is 1 to 2 days. So they practice this thing on Earth, right? With the conditions in space. So getting ready for space is not just physical and mental. It's also to understand your health risks, plus all the damage it could do to your body. I've already lost my desire to go to space. Number 9, invisible recording changes consent. When recording devices become invisible, well, consent quietly just erodes or disappears. Smart glasses make documentation efforts, and they often go unnoticed. So these are things, guys, we can't just make this stuff up. This is real. And AI and other technology is making this stuff basically become, I'm going to say, part of the new norm. So this lady was filmed without knowing by smart glasses. A woman says she was secretly recorded by a gentleman wearing smart glasses, then mocked online as the video hit nearly 1 million views. No consent, no warning. I think there's rules about what we can film in public places, but obviously this was probably not something that was very public. Not to say it was bad, but it was probably in a private space, and that could be a whole issue for people. And I just think when we think about this becomes an issue. So again, think about this. Maybe the fact that you didn't steal anything, but the fact that, this is happening is becoming a big problem. Like, you're being watched so closely, right? Number 10, hyperrealism changes entertainment when games become indistinguishable from real life. Entertainment, it unfortunately changes. At some point, realism stops being escape and it starts feeling uncomfortable because, well, guys, it's too real. Yeah. That's scary, guys. That is so scary when I say it becomes too real. Too real. Did you ever think that could happen? Well, GTA 6 looks real, and that's the problem. Grand Theft Auto 6 is about to be the most realistic game ever made. 4K streets, real-looking people, hyper-real violence. Some gamers say it's next level. Others say it's too real to be fun. When games stop feeling like fantasy, do they stop being an escape? That might become a whole mental problem for people and physical issues. So I think we got to be careful about this. And guys, number 11, quantum power reshapes the future. A computer operating near absolute zero solve problems once thought impossible. This isn't faster computing, guys. It's a new category of power that could reshape global security. Now, you're obviously not going to use a computer like this to, do some simple Excel sheets or even to do word processing. That would not be what it's designed for. But I think it's important to understand the coldest place on Earth now is hiding the world's most powerful computer. Where is it? Inside a locked lab at Google. A machine called Willow hangs like a golden chandelier, cooled to near absolute zero. It solved the problem in minutes that would take today's best computers longer than the average age of the universe. This is just, faster tech. It could crack Bitcoin, expose state secrets, crack passwords, and decide who wins the 21st century. Sometimes scientists even ask, is it borrowing power from a parallel universe? It might be. Number 12, trust can be manufactured. AI-generated content can convincingly imitate local authorities. When trust can be fabricated, verification becomes essential. So how do we handle stuff like this? Yeah. AI is hijacking a local elections is where they want to go, and people are falling for it. The fake city of York Council posters are blowing up online. Hundreds of thousands of people saw them before anyone could stop it. Some were so convincing, councils say creators refused to take them down because it was making money. Legos and I'll say the building blocks, not the official company Legos, but the Legos of the situation, they're slightly wrong. The fonts are off, the weird hands in the logos, but in a fast scroll, most people won't catch it. And that's the scary part. Like humans didn't catch that red dot, which was, a skier's helmet. If AI can fake your local council, it can fake your vote. Would you share a council post without checking the website first? I don't think so. You shouldn't either, guys. Definitely not. Digital play changes creativity. As toys become digital, imagination risks become, optional. Technology can enhance creativity, but it can also replace it. Are you ready for this, guys? Are you ready for where this is going? Legos, the company, calls it revolutionary. Play experts say it could kill imagination. Kids already make Lego fly. Now they crash and they talk. Do they really need tech to do it for them? That's right. Their new system is going to actually kind of like build itself. Lego's going digital. So now the question is whether tech helps creativity or is it replacing and kind of stifling it? Our last point for this amazing show that we've had today, algorithms replace skill. When everyone uses the same algorithm, skill becomes, automation. Decision-making shifts from intuition to execution. These stories are not isolated, guys. Together, they reveal a clear pattern. Technology is gaining power quietly, faster than the rules of the culture. And awareness can adapt. Understanding these shifts is the first step towards staying informed and engaged. Guys, that's a lot. I know it's a lot to grab. So AI is now taking over fantasy football. Is that cheating? Millions play fantasy Premier League for bragging rights. Now AI tools are picking teams, predicting points, and timing transfers better than humans. Some say it's smart strategy. Others say it's cheating. Others say it kills the banter, gut instinct, and luck that make fantasy fun. When everyone uses the same algorithm, are you still a manager or are you just pressing run? Ooh, guys, I think we have to be careful of how we're using technology. This is starting to cross a line. So AI took over fantasy football. What's next? What other game? What other skill? We don't want to stop using our mind. When machines make the choices, guys, the games change. At some point, skill, as I said, turns into automation. But because it seems so easy to do, people don't give it a second thought to say, oops, maybe I shouldn't have used the machine this time. Maybe not. What are your thoughts about that, guys? What are your thoughts about artificial intelligence? I was having a conversation, like I said, with a colleague earlier today who was in my class, but he moved to another state. And he was saying something very, very interesting, that he wanted to start this AI company. And I told him there's a lot of AI companies out there every single day. But the big problem with them is they don't really care about the human. They care about the money. I have people once a month trying to pitch me. They don't even realize I'm going for my master's and PhD in it. If they did, they probably wouldn't waste their time. These people are just, well, no better than bots. That's the best way to say it. And they probably are bots trying to reach me. That's why we've made things very tight on what we do for any kind of email and spam control. It's sad how it's becoming a sewer for a lot of the scum out there. And guys, you know, these are things that most people don't think about every day. They don't think about it. And the reason they don't think about it is because, well, they just have a way of just saying that's just the way things are right now. But really, they're not the way they are. As I said to you, the AI world, technology that comes out there slowly is getting put into your life, right? We already have somewhat semi-autonomous vehicles in the simple sense, where cars like lane keeping assist and other names that Ford has and things like that, where you set cruise control, but now it's smart cruise control. So it can actually maintain the difference, okay, based on 3 different footlongs. So not only can it do that, which is regular cruise control, but it can do it by 3 different kind of lengths, and even has the lane keep assist where it'll keep the car on the road based on other sensors. You know, the thing is, we have to look at how is technology affecting us every day, and is it doing something to help us, or is it doing something to hurt us? See, I always tell people it's okay to use technology, but we need to make sure we are using our human brain, okay? We have to use our human brain. If we use AI to augment our existing thoughts, okay, or we use it to get some ideas and then build upon them, the best analogy I can give you is many people graduating high school today don't know how to do simple math. If I give you a $200 bill and it's 15, they don't know to give me $5 back. Or if the item is 14, I give you 20, they don't know to give you a $6 back. So like 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 1 is 20, right? They don't know how to do that. So they're looking for the calculator. They're looking for the cash register to give the answer. But what happens when the cash register has a bug and like the screen doesn't show the change? What happens when the things we need for our daily life, we rely on the computer 100%? What happens when we can't make the decision when the computer is down? What happens? It's all fun when we can use it, right? But if the technology goes down, then what do? What happened the other day when Verizon went down? Now, it's not AI, but I think that's a very bad use of companies' resources. And the fact that they don't hire people from the U.S., I won't even go there because that's a whole other Pandora's box. But I do think, personally, they handled the situation very unprofessionally. I think they should have notified people immediately that there was an outage through an email people had, and letting people know we're working on it. We're providing you our or even, such and such biannual updates. Even saying, hey, if you'd like, you can go to our website. If you need, you can call. We can help you. Forward your cell phone to another line or something. They didn't do any of that. You know why? Because they didn't give a darn. Not nice to say. Even my school, as good as they are, they're about the money. When I had a problem and couldn't get into class or I couldn't get a parking, it took several days to get the issue resolved, all because, quote unquote, our systems didn't update. Well, that's not my problem. So you see what I mean? How technology can be a frustration for a lot of people. And we, as consumers of this technology, understand that that's where it's going, right? We understand that's where it's going. And I hope that that really sits well with you, because if we don't understand where it's going, then how do we know what's going on? How do we know, where we should go next, right? How do we know that? That's a very interesting question. And I think most people don't get involved with the conversation until when? Until it becomes something that impacts and affects their daily life. Wow. John, that's powerful. So let's take a brief look before we wrap up the show, because we're almost done today. What is AI in short? What is AI in short? We say it's artificial intelligence, but what the heck is artificial intelligence? It's technology that allows machines to learn and reason and make decisions by analyzing data. It could do tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as recognizing images, understanding languages, or predicting outcomes. Now, in the sense of finding that guy, that skier, so I think AI can catch what sometimes our eye may miss. And a tiny dot was so small that the naked eye couldn't see it. Another good example would be, I know several years ago there was an issue with the capital B. I don't want to say the word and scare people, but there was a bee scare at a community near me. And so they brought in these robots and deployed them. Very small little rugged robots that went under the building. They checked, sniffed, made sure nothing was there that was going to be damaging. And they kept the people out of the place for a while. But you know what it did, though? That was a job that took out the dirty work, that took out a job that could potentially be harmful to humans. See, that's a good use of artificial intelligence, when we could do things like that. That's powerful. But when people are using AI to crack things and, deceive people, that's not ethical. And something's got to give, guys. Something definitely has to give. If it doesn't, well, guess what? We have a big problem. And it's not just the technology. It is the mindset that is being taught to younger people, to college students. There is no course about ethical AI. It doesn't exist. AI, the greater good for all concerned. It does not exist. Why not? It should. We should be thinking about what we develop, not just because we can, but should we? Not just for cost issues, but for issues like, is this the ethical and the moral thing to do? I'm just being honest. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been, yes, the JMOR Tech Talk Show with myself, John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Be sure to check BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll catch you real soon on the next show. We'll see you soon. And remember, use technology smartly, wisely, and safely. Take care, everyone.